Bonjour. Ça va?
Oh, it's gone to your head, hasn't it?
Buongiorno.
No,
Ciao.
It's gone to your head. You went on a holiday and now you're doing this. How was your holiday? For those that didn't know, everybody, Andy had a holiday.
Excuse me, you did as well.
Where did I go? I went to Castle Howard for a day trip.
It's a holiday, isn't it?
I went to basically Yorkshire.
Shh, quiet.
All right. My whole day was good. How
Thank
was
you.
your holiday?
My 4-day cruise to Bruges was very nice. Completely
it just
switched
sounds like
off.
a movie, doesn't it?
It is. It's completely switched off. But as I said to
It's
my good
not true.
lady,
You didn't switch off.
I did not
because
switch
you
off.
just continuously rabbited on about it on Facebook. Look at this food.
Look at this
drink.
food.
Look at me having a nice time. Look at this. Look at me. It was lovely, actually. I really enjoyed it.
I didn't even realise you followed me as a friend. That's very kind of you.
I think it's because I follow Michelle and she was sharing. It looked fabulous.
Yes, it was really nice. Nice to switch off completely.
Yeah, and you did switch off from work.
I did.
Correct?
100%.
Brilliant. Well,
Very
it
good.
looked absolutely outstanding.
Good. But I missed you last week. We both
Did you?
missed each
Yeah,
other.
we did.
Had
We
no-
did.
no
Castle
check-a
Howard
break.
was fantastic. If you haven't been, get yourself to Castle Howard. It was brilliant. I was taking my family, my New Zealand family.
Your New Zealand family. How's Rob?
Yeah, don't talk like that. No, he's not family. He arrived yesterday.
He arrived yesterday?
There's lots of New Zealand movement going on at the moment. So my auntie and cousin, they left on the train yesterday down to Landon.
Landon.
That's where they are now.
The big smoke.
But yeah, they've been going around and they want to see all the historic
Oh,
sites. And all the
lovely.
things. So Castle Howard was absolutely fantastic. And then Mr. Bitcoin himself, he has texted me at 5 o'clock this morning because he's been awake since 4 o'clock this morning. I was still asleep.
Yes, of course you
But
were.
he's back in the UK and we will be getting him in the flesh. He doesn't know it yet, but Rob, you're coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, it's been great. And
Right, sorry. Welcome to episode 89
Oh,
of
yeah,
Take
good
a
point.
Break
Yeah,
with
yeah.
me, Andrew Reid, and Adam Walker from Hubspoke Media.
there we go. Thank you. How's your week been? Being back? Did you hit a wall of emails, or was it all right?
No, wall of emails.
Did you deal with them all right?
I dealt with them all right, but I've just been laughing because every email was like, sorry for the delay in responding. My apologies. However, I've been away.
I had a holiday, if you didn't know.
Yeah, so no, it was really good, mate. But yeah, a wall of emails, and I only just feel as though I've just about caught up. I might have to work a little bit of the weekend.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's
Can
fine.
go like that, can it?
Yeah,
You wouldn't know, actually, because it's the first time you've took some time off.
absolutely.
It's good. You look better for it.
Oh, thank you.
You look better for it. And
I do look better because it was an all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink.
Yeah, maybe need to tape that back.
And I took full advantage.
Yeah, well, you've got to. You've got to do
I
these
found a
things.
new favourite drink,
Which is?
a marshmallow-flavoured old-fashioned.
Oh.
Rum,
I've had an
marshmallow
old-fashioned.
syrup, cocoa bitters, and 4 tiny marshmallows on a stick.
I saw a picture. It did look good.
Oh man, it was
look good.
amazing.
I will look out for a marshmallow. What is it?
Old-fashioned.
Perfect.
Anyway, if I could gently and discreetly, without too much fuss, bring your attention to this person here.
Yep, you've got
That
a
was
guest.
subtle. That was subtle, wasn't it?
I had a brief encounter with this guest a couple of weeks ago at Darlington Business Club, and it was as brief as "Hi," and you went, "You should meet. Hello, how are you doing?" And then the meeting started, and that's it. So I'm really intrigued because on your shirt it says "Science and Magic."
Now, I had a great idea about science and magic.
Yep.
Right, I think what this gentleman does is he takes chemicals from the periodic table, right, and performs magic with them, like argon. Okay.
Glad to see the jokes are still with you.
We are gone.
That's better.
Hey,
That's the one.
better.
That's brilliant.
I'll pull a coin from your ear later.
Oh, excellent.
So, what's your name? What do you do? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Very quickly, my name's Andrew Gowdy. My company's called Science and Magic. In the simplest terms, it's a digital marketing consultancy, and we work with small businesses to help owners be able to build the marketing and sales systems that let them step outside of their business or work on it rather than in it.
Oh, wow. That was nice, succinct.
You've practiced that.
He practiced that. And can you tell, Adam, from his accent, he's from Sunderland?
No. Where are you from originally?
So I was born in Arizona, but I'm mostly from the state of Indiana in the USA. The long story short, my wife's from Darlow. She came over on work secondment 10 years ago. It was supposed to be 2 years. It was 10 years. And we've just relocated back this past September. and relocated my small family of wife, self, and 4-year-old son
Lovely.
4,000 miles to Darlington.
When people go
Wow.
away, they tend to get a souvenir. She's played a blinder.
She
Like
has
my
played an
husband.
absolute blinder.
Yeah, and a 4-year-old.
Absolutely.
And a 4-year-old.
And a 4-year-old, yeah.
Brilliant. So how long have you been back in the UK?
So September time, yeah. Darlow's not foreign. I've been back for
Yeah.
Christmas 10 years running. So
Yeah.
we get over here at least once a year, if not twice, for like weddings and,
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff.
Cool.
Before I forget,
Yeah.
that old fashioned that you're on about, what you need to find is some marshmallow whiskey. That exists.
Okay.
Okay, see you later.
See, magical already.
Yeah.
Magical
already.
Around the corner from our house in America was a distillery, and they discovered that making marshmallow whiskey actually ended up being one of their top selling products. Been in business for about 10 years. They're called Hotel Tango. It's
Right.
another great name. It's a veteran owned distillery, great spot. But they made this called Schmallow whiskey. Great stuff. Sold an absolute ton of it.
Right,
But
I'm on it.
I love this guy already. That's brilliant.
What's that in
Absolutely.
your drink?
So, just come back to science and why science and magic.
Yeah, how did that
how did
name
we
come
get to
about?
that? We're always intrigued to know how names came about. You see.
Yeah, so I spent about a decade working in a content marketing agency. The name is not my creation. I owe it to my former business partner. His name's Tolby Jackson. He founded this content marketing company called Radius, founded 2009. Indianapolis, was acquired 2019 by a larger agency shop. And his concept for it was that modern marketing is the intersection of one part data science and one part getting humans to do things, which is, we think at times, more artistry and magic than it is anything predictable. Changing hearts and minds is both hard and, when it happens, it feels like magic because sometimes you just can't explain why it happened.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm just recount. First of all, I love it already.
Same
I've got
here.
so many questions, but the next bit is I'm just we've been, because obviously we're a marketing company, we do bits and bobs, but it's like when one of our clients goes, oh, they got into, you do a lot of work, and they got in touch, like they're astonished. Sometimes it can be that, like
Yeah.
sometimes because you can be working so hard on something, going, I know, and especially with a business, you can be like so focused on your product or your service, going, here's what I'm going to do, here's how I'm going to make it, here's how I'm going to deliver it, here's how we then look after it. And it's like focus all around the product, and it's like, but we need to get someone in to do all that before we do it. So sometimes people can be disheartened by the fact they go, I've built this wonderful thing, but no one's finding me. So is that the science part that you come into, and the magic is that moment when they find you? Is that an accurate reflection on that?
Yeah, the science part, the most physical representation of that work is the sort of unit economics forecasting, the microeconomics work of planning how many and how much of visibility you need in order to hit revenue targets, right? It's all well and good to say, I need to grow by 20% next year. Great. How are you going to do that? What channels are you going to be active in? How much is that going to cost you? What are all the efficiencies coming through either the funnel or life cycle or whatever model it is that you want to use? How is that all going to play out? And you can predict based on past interactions, website analytics, your CRM if you've got one. E-commerce is dead easy for this, right? Because the set of interactions in the sales process is that much more simple. You can forecast this all out. Very few businesses do, especially before they go out and say that they want to grow a bunch. It's a missing step, but going through it can save you a lot of heartache and a lot of money.
Yep. Okay.
Fascinating, isn't it? But I tend to find that, with my experience and working in other big companies before Resilient, that step is easily missed, Andrew. It really is. Yeah. People think they can do it themselves, and they're so close to the coalface, they miss it easily.
I think it has to do with sort of the siloization of function, right? Marketing functions, even at corporate level, it's had to do with brand and with messaging And, you know, maybe in the past 10 to 15 years, you've started to have some sort of technology working its way into marketing. There's so much more technology in marketing in the past 20 years. The finance silo and marketing really have to get together, right? This is why you also see sort of roles being shaped in like chief revenue officer. That's kind of something that's come about in the last really 5, 6, maybe 10 years, but really in the past 5, 6 years, you've seen that title come about where someone has visibility over the revenue impacts of sales and marketing, and they have a better tie to a CIO or more and better interaction with a CFO, or at least those role types, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think that's really important.
The challenge I always see is people going, want to, you know, a lot of people will go down the route of just going, right, we'll get organic social managed. Like someone will manage our organic social, and that's good for one part if that's what you need. If it's outsourcing a job, we cover it for people where we are taking that load off them, so it's taken care of, because that's a really important part of the whole thing. But then increasingly, I'm always constantly going, yes, but this is just one part, and I think that's the issue with marketing. Are we getting that? Andy pouring his drink on the microphone. Andy is pouring a drink.
Sorry.
There's not a leak.
Didn't think it would pick it up.
I just thought we'd quantify that.
Absolutely.
It's that
Thank you for
continental coffee that he's brought back.
Yeah, it's another marshmallow old-fashioned going in there.
Quiet, Adam.
We're all jealous.
So on there, obviously, you got social media as one part, and I was saying that is one part of it. And, you know, you need to either dedicate time or resource or finance for someone to run that for you. But then it's kind of, that is... Really, it's although the algorithms are changing, you see more people now are seeing content because you don't need to follow people. It's kind of algorithmically providing you, usually posting vertical video. Other people are seeing it that wouldn't have normally seen it, say, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
However, the amount of outreach that you've then got to do to actually launch and reach new customers and bringing that work, it's endless in terms of opportunity, right? So how do you look at that in terms of... Are you working off people's budgets? Are budgets steering it? And then you're going, here's what we can do. How much is the I imagine the data is informing everything. How do you prepare, I suppose, your package of services? Do you need to know budget first and then work from there? Or are you kind of fingering air for the budget and going, here's the list of measures that we think?
I mean, usually if a client comes to us, they have a goal in mind. Like they have a business objective that needs parameters around it. And then we tell them what is achievable and what sort of budgets are realistic given their goals and their targets. And then we go through the exercise of, all right, your average basket size or order size is this, conversion rates are this, visibility cost in whatever channels you're in, be it search, be it social, display, offline marketing should yield, right? These are the things that are available to us. It's a really basic spreadsheet, man. It's not hard to do. You just have to have, it can be bravery to, have the ranging guess to say it could be as low as X, it could be as high as Y. The answer will fall somewhere in the middle. And then the math problem ends up being, let's go into market. And the value creation is we now know based on market response that, our estimations were close or they weren't. I'm not sure that I actually answered your question, but it's usually... It starts with the parameters of a business problem. So can I give you an example?
Yeah,
of course, please.
So we started working with a distribution company about 5 years ago. And when I say distribution company, it's a guttering supplies. So they source aluminum products for gutters for your house. This is in America, obviously. Products are very different. But a lot of aluminum products that go on your house and they catch rainwater, right? Very simple, easy to understand product. Buyers for this product are contractors, suppliers that go out and install this stuff on roofs. The mechanism for how they buy that stuff traditionally has been they either phone up or they rock up to a supply store and they walk into the supply store and they buy the stuff. Here comes 2020 and the pandemic, and this distribution company had really been toying around with the idea of e-commerce as a sales channel, but were scared about the notion of what was going to happen to their business if they didn't lean into that sales channel, and that was an appropriate fear that they had, and it's yielded benefit for them to act on it.
Your phone again.
I put it on silent, I'm sure I did.
This happens every week.
It's on...
89 episodes. Shh. Carry on.
Sorry.
So where was I? So they decided, hey, like, should we be looking more so into e-commerce? Long story short, the effect of what's happened over the last 5 years is that in 5 years, they will have effectively 6x'd their e-commerce top-line revenue.
Goodness me.
From about 300,000 a year to about, this year they're going to do about 1.8 million. Whilst they still have sort of a maintaining sales channel in direct sales over the phone.
So I was saying, was it budget-driven?
Budget-driven.
It sounds like it was goal-driven. So people are coming with aspiration.
Right, or with a sea change that they need to figure out how a particular sales channel can or should be a part of their mix.
Yeah.
And our approach was to say, yes, like with search volume the way it is for your products, with the amount of competition that's there or isn't there, with the amount of just general lack of activity that you have today, a very small modicum of presence can yield great results.
Yeah.
They average, this is going to be a technical term, maybe if you don't work in marketing all the time, their paid advertising averages about 15x return on ad spend.
That's really good.
15x.
That's really good.
It's mainly focused in search, Google Shopping, basic search, some Performance Max, right? It's mainly in Google. They do some Amazon, they do some Facebook, but 15x. And for your listeners who don't live and breathe in that every day, it means for every ad dollar that they spend, they get 15 times that in top line gross turnover or revenue.
That's a pretty good turnaround.
Usually when you work, and Adam, you'll know this, usually when you work in growth marketing, you're wanting to target something to the tune of 4x plus. Yeah. That's where you start getting into margin.
Yeah.
So when you can do that, 3 to 4 times that, you're in a space where you're either spending too little, that can be true.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
You're either spending too little, or I won't give away all their budgets, but
you don't need to do.
Anyway.
So on that, some of the battle I see is when we're working with people, they're going, obviously, we want to run some ads. People, a lot of people have done Facebook themselves, and they'll boost posts. I'm like, don't do that. Don't press that button. Do not press the button, please. Just because it's if you want to press the button, press the button. But if you want it more targeted and try and get to the right people, and there's a bit more thought in terms of who you're reaching, and trying to spend your money more effectively, don't press the button. Don't press boost post. Please don't press. But a lot of the time people are doing it, and then it's like expectations around the budget in terms of, because that's the next step that I often find is a tripping point, partly because it's a bit scary for some businesses, depending on the size, as smaller businesses as well. It's going, if you're asking to spend a significant amount of money a day, I think the lowest you can pay on Google Ads is £4.50. And I've got to be like, well, that's the lowest. Yeah. Like that's for some of the clients, that are new to pay-per-click ads. And I'm like, but really what you need to be doing, I often go as a benchmark for people just starting out, like, what's the value of your product? Could you at least give me a product budget worth that we can use in the first thing, in the aim that when we recoup that, we go again, and then, sort of feathering that approach. Do you find that in terms of expectations around ad budgets? How challenging is that to deliver those results?
We have, so there's 2 answers to your question. One is it's always limited by the current cash flow in the business, right? So there's always a point in which that becomes a wall that you cannot scale because there's just not enough cash to do, all the things that you want to do. There are limited economics. The second is by, again, that unit economics approach that we go through overcomes a lot of those conversations because there's usually a data point, and if there's not, it means that we have work to do in analytics, in setting up basic CRM, to know the underlying performance of current channels so that we can forecast and expect what's going to happen. For example, let's say you've got a website, it's a service-oriented business. Let's say that a gardening service, for example. It's a lead gen operation. You want to get people in the door that say, raise their hand and say, I would like gardening services, please. I would like one of your gardeners to come around and trim all the hedges and do all the flower beds, all this stuff. Great. What % of people that hit that website or your marketing channels raise their hand and say, I would like that service today? Chances are the rate at which that happens is not going to be exceeded by new advertising channels reaching people that don't already know who you are.
Yeah.
Safe assumption?
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from.
So you have sort of at least a target upper echelon of performance. Now, granted, if you really nail audience targeting, if your creative is just out of this world, if, right, you can overcome that upper threshold. For somebody that's not done it before, realistically, is that going to happen? No. Anyway, you asked a question and I'm down a rabbit hole.
I like the rabbit hole. It's a good one, though. It's a good point.
So you can establish the upper echelon based on past performance is the
Yep.
point. Like there's always a handful of data points that you can establish a higher and lower end of performance. And if there's not, like it's usually because somebody doesn't have a basic web analytics package. If it's a lead generation service, they don't have a basic CRM in place where they're managing the conversion of lead to deal or opportunity, depending on, whatever you term it. They're not measuring that throughput. So how am I going to predict how the business is going to grow? I can't, because you're not measuring growth.
Correct.
If you don't measure growth, chances are you're not going to be able to affect it.
Yeah. In terms of the finance wall that you mentioned there, Andy, what about, I suppose what I'm getting at is what I've found in certain roles of my life and business. I don't always hit the financial wall first. I hit the people wall first, going, it's a waste of time. I don't want to do it. Or after 3 months, well, waste of time. I've got nothing from it. Like 3 months. So do you find that as well, or is it similar?
The people wall is a risk, risk and change avoidance, especially in larger organizations, is it's a thing.
Yeah.
Businesses that have been in existence for 20 plus years, people that have been in roles for the better part of their professional career, they have come to expect how they want things to be in their lives. And like I can start to appreciate that. I want my life, having just uprooted it and moved across the Atlantic, to be boring and predictable.
Yeah.
I want more of that in my life. I want less change in my life. At the same time, some of the people that they work with, other stakeholders, have seen either a sea change or we want to experience growth so that we can afford to pay you more money, or so that you can afford, that next chapter of your life. And those two things, grade against one another, and you don't always get the outcome that you want. There was a second part to your question.
It's the people.
wall.
Do they block? In previous episodes, me and Adam have spoken about, not mentioning any names, but you almost get like, I've committed to Adam for my social media, but 3 months later, I'm going, God damn it, Adam, I'm getting nowhere. I don't get one like, one share, but it's like 3 months. Come on. So do you get that, like, not a reaction, but a blocking, it makes your job twice as hard if people are just going, well, this guy's rubbish.
Sure. So, man, I hate to point back to it all the time, but like the efficiency of any of these, tools and levers that you pull, levers, happens all the time, that you pull, like everything's an efficiency mechanism. And if it's not if it's not as efficient as you would like it to be, sometimes the answer is, what levers can we pull that make it more efficient? Is it creative? Is it bid management? Is it new creative? Like, which of these things should we change? And that's a conversation. And if over time you continue to make the wrong decisions, I might well be rubbish.
But if I'm looking at your website, looking at one of your case studies. Okay, so here, growth outcomes.
Yeah.
Love it, because you've gone 24-month turnaround.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about 3 months and this, you've just talked about 3 different variables there, and I was going to come back to, we can easily drive traffic as marketers. You can easily drive traffic to anywhere.
Yeah.
With paid channels, and the companies that are doing that paid search will take your money quite happily, plop them on your website. The problem is that's the first battle, getting them to it. The second bit is then, like you're saying, the different areas, whether it's creative, text, copy, what steps you're asking the customer to make. I often see, and I want to get your insight on this, but I often see that people want, they're almost asking their customers to do too much sometimes. As in, you've just got them, that it might be the first time they've come across you. My approach is try and keep it as simple. If it's a service-driven business, simple. Get the data you need to get so you can contact them, phone them, so email, phone number.
Yeah.
So you've got a backup for each one in case there's a typo as well. And also, quite a lot of service business, you often need to ring them anyway, right? So if they're then trying to look for the phone number to ring them to say, I'm running late if there's a problem, or can you do tomorrow? They can do that. But then it's simply give us some information about what you're looking for, in terms of get a bit of detail. I don't generally ask people to do more than that. So sometimes I think people find that when they're doing paid ads and opportunities, it's overcomplicated the last step in some regard. But you're right, in order to get the creative right, in order to capture the eye in the first place, to get them to click on the ad, how are you wording things, what language are you using in terms of it's simple or plain, or does it need to be more technical, depending on who you're speaking to?
Yeah.
And if it's IT, for example, are you trying to reach IT directors? Well, you need to be speaking IT director language. 24-month turnaround, 30% increase in revenue, 40% increase in web traffic. That's over 24 months. So
this is EdTech. This is Standard for Success. Yeah. That's what you're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, but it's...
I was there.
I was there. But the example there is it's a 24-month project.
Yeah.
Marketing is not a flash in the pan.
It really isn't.
So I want to say one thing about you were just talking about just now about sort of web interactions and making it too complex. I think what most people forget or get wrong about like lead generation or making audience addressable, getting like contact information, is the assumption that everybody that hits their website or too many of those people are ready to enter the sales funnel right now. That's the reflection of how complex we make the interaction, right? What we force people through, what steps we make them take next, and is based on where we assume they are in relation to us. And it's an assumption. So you'll find all over our website this notion of experience engineering and sort of life cycle and stage of relationship in, awareness to consideration to purchase to customer experience. It's represented in this sort of flywheel of you're looking at it now, but it's all over our stuff.
It's lovely, isn't it?
And we found it to be helpful in thinking about where are you, or where is your customer, more importantly, in relationship to you. Are they anywhere? Do they know who you are? Are they considering you for a problem that they have? Are they problem aware? Are they solution aware? Are they in process of buying your service? Do they just need a gentle nudge to get them over the finish line? Then marketing and experience engineering can think about what is the experience getting them onboarded? Is it streamlined? Is the product experience or the sales experience in alignment with everything else that they've heard or seen or want or have expressed? It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
With Standard for Success, that was not a small undertaking. They were it's an educational technology company that was founded, I think, in like 2009, 2010, by former teachers who founded a software product that helped teachers get sort of an even-handed performance review. It was mandated by federal law in the United States, so there was a business opportunity anyway. So they created this software that helps teachers get an even-handed performance review. Over time, they built additional software. So they went from one software, and that was the brand, right? Standard for Success was this single piece of software. Then they had 4 pieces of software. They went into higher ed. They went into helping high school graduates They went into all these different places, and they needed a brand platform to be able to speak to all of that. Yeah. They needed a sales management process that could predict growth because it was headed up by 2 former teachers who were entering retirement stage. They wanted to be able to sell the business. And because of the processes that we put in place, the sales management practice that we put in place, and the brand platform that we put in place, they did no small part of it I should give them the majority of the credit, but we were able to help them successfully exit their business to a very healthy multiple. And I think Todd and Diana are probably somewhere on a boat in Mexico right now as a result, or at least that's where they spend a lot of their time.
Brilliant.
So we're really proud of that piece of work.
Yeah, and I think just one of the key things that pops out is more than 300 search optimized blog posts. Blogging is very underrated by society, I think, at the moment in terms of business, running a business, and you've got your website, and there is some massive advantage to have to a blog, providing it's done correctly in terms of supporting SEO search terms. And sometimes just provide some human element, just tell a human story, forget the search for a second. You know, sometimes just tell a human story, just so it's the face and personality. But there's an example there. You've worked on it for 24 months. You've done loads of different things behind the scenes. You've also been posting out blogs. And this is when people are saying, you know, when they're trying to view marketing, what is it? All the different things that you've talked about were all jobs and tasks and undertakings that you've done. And the problem is, I think, with marketing, a lot of that goes behind the scenes. People see the shiny blog post in this case, the shiny ad on search or socials, or the social media post. They don't necessarily see the data element that you're talking about behind the scenes. My question to follow up then about people being in the mindset, because you're right, when people do land on your website, it depends what you're selling and what you're doing. Some could be, like we've got one which is a service business at the moment, and it's people will only ring it when they need it, when they've got that problem to solve. And we're going, hey, we can solve it, fill out the form, we'll get in touch with you, and we'll sort it out. That's very simple. The problem is not going to be there in 5 weeks' time. The problem's not going to be there in 2 months' time. The problem might be back in 12 months, by which point what we'll find is retention off the first ads are really good, because people then come back and they go, you're our guy to sort this out. So my question is when people are not ready to purchase, are you looking at the retargeting methods and things like that, using, like a Facebook pixel, for example, pops in my head? Are you looking at the whole sort of plan on how you re-garner that person's attention?
If you can do it, the best thing to do is eliminate the contention of all other competition. Very rarely is it possible, because, to be the sole solution provider in a customer's mindset for a particular problem that they have is a hard place to fill, and it's even harder to dislodge. But I'll give you an example, right? In the case of, if you had to go, you've got a particular kind of coffee that you like, right? And when you go to the supermarket, you buy that coffee again and again and again. The competition has been eliminated for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can it be dislodged by price, by a particular offer? You're in a new place and you're trying new things? Yes. But in your mind, probably when you're going, like you do this by habit all the time in your life, whether you recognize it or not. Bring it back.
Coffee is the exact example for me.
Yeah.
You buy the coffee, right?
Yeah.
Taylor's Rich Italian. I'll shout you out. Sponsor us if you want.
I like Greg's sausage rolls.
Me too.
They can sponsor me if they want to.
Yeah, but I don't. And I have been in other supermarkets when they don't have that coffee.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, well, I'll have to go for
Right.
something else.
Yeah.
But then if it's then back again, I'm straight back on that coffee.
Exactly. Now, in service and solution providers, that's very difficult because the sales process is typically longer. The presence in your mindset or the purchase behavior repeat frequency isn't as high. All these reasons, that's much harder to do. We, with past clients, have tried to do that with content marketing campaigns. So we've found that one of the most effective approaches is what we like to call the masterpiece content strategy, which in its most simplistic terms is this. Take the most pressing problem your client has and try to solve it with an informational piece of content.
Yep.
The kind of decision that they have to make, the context that they live in. It could be directly or somewhat unrelated to the service that you provide, but try and solve that problem with a piece of content. That's hard. That's hard. But what you end up doing is creating something of intrinsic value that is usually pretty meaty and can then subsequently be atomized into blog, social post, can power the rest of your marketing channels for weeks, months, sometimes a year or more, just because you were invested enough time and energy to better understand your client, invest in the time and energy to put together something of true value to them, and then have that be a centerpiece of your marketing strategy from here until, whenever it runs out of juice, basically. That's one way that we've tried to, just, in other words, maintain top of mind presence with the client.
If I can just come in on that.
Yeah.
So this, Andy, is we talk about people just going, buy our thing.
Buy Teams.
Buy Teams is the example.
Buy
we specifically.
Teams.
The idea is
Hypnotic.
the idea is that switches people off,
Yeah.
especially with social media and paid ads. There's a time and a place to say buy this thing, but in a content world, it's have you considered doing this with your workflow or something like that if it was related to Teams.
Absolutely right.
Or are you experiencing this problem with Google Workspace? Are you experiencing this problem with your personal email? Are you, how can I be helpful to this problem that you're experiencing, whether minute or seismic?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it also goes back down to the point that you and me, Adam, spoke about a couple of weeks ago. One of my phrases over the last couple of years, Andy, has been giving is the new selling. So at the Darlington Business Clubs, at the meetings, somebody will ask a question and I will happily give them the answer. No charge, there you go. That's what you need to do. Oh, thank you very much, Andy. Thank you very much. And over time, that business has grown, developed, and I will get a phone call out of the blue going, you helped me so much, Andy, can we talk?
You've done exactly the thing.
Yeah.
How can I solve either this minute or very seismic issue?
Correct.
And you maintain top of mind presence.
Absolutely. I've given a lot of my time to a lot of my current customers, and I think I'm currently in the process about year 2 of helping this customer out. I'm not getting paid anything for it, but I can believe in them. I can see what they're doing. They are struggling, and I get that, but I'm constantly going, I'll do that for you. Yeah, don't worry. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I know eventually I can see them about to tip, and I can see the interaction that they're giving me, and they're about to go, right, Andy, can you help us now? Come on in, let's talk. It's a lot of time I've given.
Right.
But
they weren't ready to press the...
Correct.
They weren't ready to buy Teams yet.
and I'm not pushing
ready
them, and I'm
about
not pushing them at all.
It's a dangerous assumption, but not everybody is ready to purchase from you.
No.
And being okay with that is like one of the most zen things I think you can do in business for yourself and for everybody else, because you won't spam the hell out of them. Say, buy Teams.
I've got him on it already. He's already got it.
I'm going to be sleeping that later.
Yeah.
My Teams.
Another example there is I've had people that I've worked with, not commercially, in terms of, like you're saying,
Yeah.
you've spent time with them, you've tried to be of use and value. And I've had people that have not converted to a customer, but then they've referred me on to somebody else.
Yes.
And I think that's the other thing to bear in mind. It's not a transaction. It's like going to the pub or a cafe and you meet somebody and you talk. Like I met you at the business club. I wasn't like, hey, here's my business card. Buy my services. I have no idea what you do. You should really buy my... You'd be like, I don't want to talk to him again.
No, exactly right.
You've met enough insurance providers that do that well enough.
yeah, exactly. But like...
Sorry, insurance providers. I know you're lovely people, but some of you make it horrible for us.
He's got a point. But it's because it's not about that. And,
No.
and the way I approach my networking is get to know. And the people that want to do the hard sell and do that, I'm like, well, that's on you.
Absolutely.
You see it on LinkedIn. Get people. I've got a guy who keeps just asking me questions at the moment. I'm like, how long until you go, you should buy our thing? It's like he connects media people.
Yeah.
He's messaging me. I saw it come through, and sometimes I go on then. Let's see how long it takes you to pitch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I'm not in. I'd be looking for your thing if you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I've accepted it. He goes, so do you work in the media space? I'm like, well, you haven't looked at my face is all over it with this podcast. We've got podcasts, it's all there. Do you work in the media space? So I'm like, here we go. I'm like, yeah, we do. We run a podcast. We do this. So it's so important to A, do your research. B, generally build a relationship in terms of just getting to know people. I understand what you're saying in terms of that content being of use. Like if someone goes, that's enough for me, perfect, they're sorted, they weren't going to purchase from you anyway, right?
No.
But you've generated enough value that they may come back, which is the whole point of the exchange at that
Absolutely.
at that moment in time.
So then you get the client for you going, how do I measure that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I want to get into now. So we've talked a lot about all of the stuff.
Yeah.
For want of a better word. Because
yeah.
it is stuff. There's
It is.
loads. There's so many different avenues. There's so many different things. Measurement. So science. We're
Yeah.
talking here, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. So you can do some stuff on market research and things beforehand, before you get involved. Measurement. 2 questions I've got. A, what you're sort of looking at, how do you quantify that data and how do you present that, especially when the client might not understand what some of it means, and I don't mean that to be rude, it's just the different data and sciencey elements. Sometimes what does that mean? Because all they're looking for is dollar or pound signs, right? The second question is, how do you measure the unmeasurables? So the first question is...
Well, I'll take the easy one first, which
Yeah.
is what are you looking to measure? The easy one is my former business partner and I used to have this discussion all the time. In that life cycle, when customers come at you needing help, we used to have this phrase. It says everybody starts at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock on that life cycle model that you have is the the point of purchase, right? Everyone starts at how do I get more customers? And then you have to reverse engineer out of that and educate to the point of, okay, we actually get to the place where there's a problem that can be solved, whether in visibility or conversion or customer experience or all these things that can then wind enough people around the wheel to affect the revenue number. So that's that answer. So in most cases, yes, it is a revenue number. And at the end of the day, if you don't affect that, it's a very hard conversation. We set a lot of expectations when it comes to the role of particular channels and what KPIs they should be impacting. So for example, when I say, hey, we're going to run an organic search campaign, we're going to produce this content, we're going to do this infrastructure work, we're going to go and do some digital PR to build authority for links and all this stuff that's relative to SEO. The objective of that campaign is visibility and traffic. Visibility is usually expressed in a ranking index. How many of our target terms do we rank for? 0 to 100. If you use like a Moz or an SEMrush or any of these SEO tools, you'll know that that exists. And you create a very simple metric that says on a score of 0 to 100%, how do we score on the terms that we have decided are important to us? That's one way you can measure that. You can also measure impressions. You can measure website traffic as it increases over time. Stop there is the point that I want to make. An SEO campaign should be about visibility and traffic. And then you measure that effort and that outlay against those things. It's hard to limit the scope of measurement to just what it actually impacts because we expect all marketing to deliver revenue, right? And it is a fallacy.
Yeah.
It is a fallacy.
This is music to my ears.
It is, isn't it?
This is because I get it all the time in terms of, in fact, we did a blog. Someone was like, we have a blog, we can do some blogs to support SEO. We've got very good results, local SEO. And we've done some where it's national, but it requires an effort, right? And when I was pitching a client once in terms of, they're interested, we were working with them, they go, could you do this? They went, how much would I get back if I do one blog? And I was like, nothing is the answer I had to, financially, what am I going to get back for one blog?
Nothing at all.
Nothing. It's like going from building a house, right?
Yeah.
How much of a house will I have for one brick? Yeah. It's like you need a load of bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
All glued together in a coherent way, and then eventually you have a house, and then you got the roof. And,
I wouldn't glue the bricks. That would be a really bad idea.
So for you to say,
it's a fallacy on that. Yeah.
if you're going, right, we're looking at SEO, the measurement stops at traffic. Has your traffic increased? Are you being found more? What are you being hit for in the keywords?
Right.
Love that.
Yeah.
But then when you look at either monthly or quarterly movement, you're going to see uptick in revenue and attribution from either in lead generation or in, direct sales if it's e-commerce, from organic search in your analytics, right? You're going to see that, and it's going to be tempting to then put that as a metric by which you judge SEO outflows, right? Specifically. Marketing service providers, we have done ourselves a disservice starting, in the mid 2000s by saying that, digital marketing is great. You can measure everything. Should you? No. Or at least be more specific about the metrics that should be the outcome of a particular, outlay. And that's hard for some people to put the guardrails around. And most people, in business won't have the expertise to limit, hey, when I do SEO, the effects of it should be this. When I do paid search, the effects of it should be this. But then collectively, I should look at my entire marketing outflow and say, what were the effects of my marketing outflow? What were the effects of this channel? What were the effects of this channel? What were the effects of this channel? But don't force it into the round peg into the square hole that a marketing channel has to deliver revenue, or a marketing channel has to deliver SEO, or, it has to deliver some, predetermined fallacy.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can measure. The problem is you can measure everything with digital.
Right.
So, you've just hit the nail on the head in terms of, because it's not. And I think, again, I always make a joke that marketers have kind of ruined everything in the sense that we had, I don't know, the newspaper came around.
Yeah.
Like, brilliant. Let's fill it with adverts. Yeah. So then people are going, where's my stories that I want to read? Where's my local news? I'm looking at all these adverts. Then we have the telephone. We're like, brilliant. We love the telephone. We can talk to each other. And then we started ringing everyone going, hey, do you want to buy our thing? So then it made you want to avoid answering the phone during the day, for example, or trying to unlist your number, or you are now suspicious. If a private number rings your phone, Andy, what's your first feeling in your head?
Spam.
Scam or something.
Yeah.
Right? But why can't a withheld number, it could be an office line number, why can't they ring you and you think...
Yeah, but they are getting better nowadays as well. The Samsungs and the Apples of the world, they're getting quite clever because it'll come up suspected spam because people are reporting it.
Yeah.
Problem is they're now going, well, actually, you recognise my land number. So they get the software that automatically generates a mobile number. So I see a mobile number, I pick it up thinking it's a potential, and then I go...
So some are scam, some are call centres, some are marketing. Well done, marketers, we've ruined the telephone.
Yeah.
Email. Now, we love email as a society. What a fantastic... We've wrecked that as well.
Yeah.
Because we're like, hey, you should buy our stuff.
Buy Teams.
Yeah.
Buy Teams.
Yeah. So we ruined... And then social media came.
You're not ruining that for us as well, are you?
We've ruined that as well in certain regard. In terms of... But the difference is we've seen a change with social. Because now you can lead with content. You can actually provide value and insight.
Yeah.
And then the long tail of it is it does pay back. So social has been, for me, outside of the advertising element, the bit where we've actually changed the game in terms of marketing because you've allowed people to share knowledge, I suppose. And and it's been driven by commercials, let's be honest. Like if there's a commercial interest in there, like YouTube has all these YouTube creators, they're doing it because they want to grow the channel, they're earning revenue, maintain society, And why are they earning revenue? Oh, because of marketing that goes on the back of it, all right? So in some regard, the social media was the first thing where it's kind of changed, and probably commercialization of social media has helped because then people are producing content. Now it's up to them what content they produce, but there's, I've done stuff on learning how to take better photos and how to use a certain camera and what settings should be used for a certain edit, or we had an issue with some editing software the other day. We hit YouTube straight away. I can't remember the name of the setting.
Yeah.
And you get it. Now, marketing has kind of helped with that because obviously the creators that are producing these videos are getting paid off the back of it because it's marketing. That's been the first seed change that we've seen. But we've managed to ruin quite a number of channels as marketers.
I find it helpful to remember. I can't remember the name of this study, but I've quoted it to teams that I've worked in several times. Most trusted job types, career types in the United States by category. I think there are about 30 categories at the top of the list. It's what you would expect. Teacher, doctor, physician, therapist, right? And all the way at the bottom of the list is used car salesman. Just above that is member of Congress, MP to you.
President.
And just above that is marketing professional.
Wow.
Right? We are in the at least in America, the bottom 10% of respected, trusted professions. We have ruined it for ourselves. So it's everyone else, we've ruined it for ourselves, and that also means that there's an opportunity to not be that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree.
Stand out.
To do it well.
Yeah.
Right.
Do a proper job. So with that in mind, obviously, you can be measuring the data and the numbers and all of this, and it's really tangible. How? And there's a huge part of this in marketing. Because I suppose how we got onto that was SEO is one part. It's really important to do, but how do you measure a direct conversion? Well, it's not. It's combined with everything else, looking at uplift in terms of hits and this, that, and the other. But the problem you have is, sometimes I find that we've got a client. We put a basic holding site up so they had representation because they wanted us to do the socials. I was like, you really need a website just to be like, hey, this is us. Doesn't have to be more than that. Like, let's, if you don't have the budget, let's just get something up. And then we've been posting content. Anyway, he came down a few weeks ago and he goes, it's working. I went, what do you mean it's working? You get the magic. It's working. What do you mean? He goes, well, we've been working on the content. And I think at the start with socials, especially like where we're running organic socials, people are like looking at each individual post. What does that bring me? It's like nothing. It's the bricks. It's the blogs, right? But what he said is he had someone get in touch. They'd gone, hey, someone had said something about you, and I thought I'd check you out. I had a look at your social media. Looks great because there's representation, there's personality. I've checked out your website. All looks legit. Let's have a chat. That's all. It wasn't a fancy. There wasn't a fan. It was literally a straightforward website. This is us. These are the services that we do. Here's a contact form. And he literally said, had a referral. Checked out that. If he hadn't been doing the other two bits, would he have still got the phone call? Well, it didn't sound like he might have if, there was no social media presence on the website there, in terms of you've got. So sometimes, how do I measure that is my question. So that is a really unmeasurable because that is remembering that whilst we've got all this data, we've got thoughts and feelings and, your gut feeling that people talk about. How do you approach that?
Again, remember that each representation of the brand, be it social, be it your Google business profile, be it your website, each of those has some kind of measurable, and they are additive, and they are greater than the sum of their parts. I always like to think of websites, the basic role of a website is that it needs to not be the reason not to do business with me.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you've got that's all right.
Can you take my photograph off the page because that would instantly put people off.
That's the bar.
Yeah.
Right. That's the bar for a marketing channel. It needs to be at least the presence that says, I'm here, this is what I am. It is congruent with the other things that you know about me. Sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate it more than that. You were asking about attribution and making sort of, marketers, again, try to overcomplicate this, and we've tried to overcomplicate attribution to be able to say, yeah, you can measure everything. You can measure every touch point, be it offline. You can measure every touch point. You can try to do that. There are places where you can get closer to a data point which represents the kind of interaction that you just described, and it sounds like this. In that form that someone may or may not have filled out, if they filled out a form, it's a little, it's a field that says, how did you hear about us? Let's talk about that for just a minute. What someone enters there, right, that could be the representation of how they first heard about you, something that entered their sphere of influence 6 months ago when they were thinking about something unrelated, or they might be talking about the thing that happened, the last week, right? It's just like, 20 years ago, this would have been, how did you find us? On the Yellow Pages, because that was the last thing that they did.
Marketing.
Right.
No, that's alcoholic.
Marketing.
Right.
Because that was the game then.
Yeah. Everything at the top of the...
Yeah, if you're young, every company had to begin with an A if you wanted to appear at the front.
Or one if you were clever.
Yeah. Taxi companies still have all of those quite often.
Yeah.
There's still...
Yeah, 1A, 1A, 1A.
There's 1AB in Darlington.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
For that exact reason.
That reason.
So how did you hear about us, right? And that can be flawed, but it gives you an insight into what the customer thinks about where they interacted with you and what sticks in their memory. Valuable point of observation.
Absolutely.
Ways to screw that up, make them choose from a selection box of things that you determine, right? How did you hear about us? The first thing is search, or the first thing is social, or the first thing is webinar, I don't know, or AAA trade show.
Yeah.
Free text, you'll spend more time on the back end, you'll get better insight out of it. Second thing that you can do, call tracking. This technology exists. This is a technology podcast. Here's a bit of technology for you.
No. Oh, it is.
There's a thing called call tracking. There's a service called CallRail. It starts at about $50 or £50 a month. You can do live replacement of phone numbers on your website that buckets things in terms of how visitors came through the digital channel and then reports that to you in terms of how they got there to the website and what that call is sourced from, down to the phone number. Again, this can be misleading from an attribution standpoint because it ties to web analytics. And at the bottom of your analytics funnel is almost always going to be these two things: direct traffic and organic search. Why? Because if somebody already knows about you, that's how they're going to find you, because they typed in your name on Google, because they already know who you are. And that's going to be the last step that somebody takes before they interact with you. So you can be led around by the nose by this, or you can recognize that attribution data is one thing that you should consider in discerning value of your marketing channel. And you alluded to it a minute before, and I'll shut up, I promise. Best thing to do if you don't know, if you want to understand what your customer's thinking, ask them, survey them, be it, unassociated lift, or send out an email once a year that asks your customers what they think of you. You can do it in the Net Promoter Score format. You can do it in customer satisfaction surveys, customer experience scores, all these methodologies, but very few businesses do it because it's just another thing that they don't think about. But it's one of the most helpful things in marketing that you can do is ask your customer how they can be better served. And they'll tell you.
They will.
Every time.
I love that.
It is interesting, isn't it, in terms of that? I was thinking back to ourselves. So I was speaking to somebody the other day. They were basically saying they run a seminar, like an experience about how to run your business for business owners. The most interesting fact that came out of it is if you take all the companies in all the world, only the top... Sorry, let me start again. If you take all the companies in all the world, you all feel as though you're running on the treadmill. You all feel as though you're running hard. You've got your own company, Andy, as have you, Adam. You feel as though you're on that treadmill. He turned around and said, out of all the companies in all of the world, only 1% of companies feel as though they're not on the treadmill. And they are like the top brands, the Virgins, the Colas, whatever. 99% of us are still running on the treadmill to try and keep their head above water, or think they are. Now, back to where I was coming from this, I'm very fortunate, thank you. I'm 20, my business is 20 years old. I do nothing about what you're doing. I don't do it because I'm too busy running to try and do my own business. I've got this wonderful gentleman here who does all of my marketing for me. He sends me statistics after statistics on emails.
Us as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, I don't even read them. It's because I know it's working. I feel as though it's working. Since employing Adam, the amount of phone calls and referrals I'm getting, the amount of bless me, hey, you're that guy off the podcast. That's all working for me. I genuinely believe that marketing is the way forward for any company, as you quite rightly said. I need a website. I need this. It doesn't work for all businesses. We've mentioned this before. He's a one-man handyman. I don't need a website. I just get my number passed on. Fine, I'm happy with that. I've got an email address, billybob69@gmail.com. It works for me.
No one email that. He's just
No, I've just made that up.
By the way, sorry, Billy Bob.
Yeah.
69.
But you know what I'm getting at. He says, I don't need a social presence. And that's fine for him.
It depends on their aspiration.
It depends on their aspirations. The thing that I'm getting at is what I'm listening, and I'm loving it. Both of you have been bouncing off each other about how marketing, how about measurables, about all of this. I think any company, from what I'm listening to, if, in my genuinely honest opinion, if you're not doing any type of marketing, you're wrong. You need to do something. If you want to grow that business, let's face it, everybody's in business to make their lives easier, boring. Just, hey, I'm making money, I go to work, I come home. Have a nice, easy, boring life, as you mentioned, Andy. If you're not doing that, you're wrong. If you are doing it, stop trying to take it so seriously. Because, again, Adam said this, we've had this conversation, Andy, multiple times. It's been 3 months. I've not seen any format. It's been 6 months. How is it not working? Last month, I had spikes of likes and hits and guys. This month, I'm down. Why? Adam's favourite one is, out of all the work that he does for Business Central here, Innovation Place, the best one was Dan in a hat.
Absolutely messed up our data.
Of course.
I was talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
So we put a photograph on. It was the Jubilee event. Dan, the centre manager here, put a picture of him at this event that we had. Just him.
Yeah.
In a Union flag hat. It's like a bowler hat, little bowler hat.
And it went...
And it went absolutely ballistic. And it was
viral. Yeah, absolutely.
And then
right.
next month, it's like, why is our data down? It's like, because we put
One
a picture
picture.
of Dan in a hat on. And they went, pardon? And
Yeah.
I went, Dan in a hat was really popular. So it's not that we're down, we're actually up on the month previous, but when
Yeah.
we're measuring month to month, and I think it's bearing that.
And that's what I'm getting at.
So if anyone needs Dan in a hat, I'm sure we could ask him.
But what I was trying to lead all of that back, and it was a question to both of you, how on earth, in all of the statistics and all of the measurables and all of the attributes that you're working, and I'll pitch it at you first, Andrew, how on earth do you cover something like that was an absolute spike? Or, I suppose, let me just add to the question, somebody comes up with what they think is an absolutely blisteringly good campaign, but they released it at the same time as a massive world event, World Cup, and they went, why didn't that work? How do you approach that to your customers to go, well, the reason that spiked or the reason that failed is blah? Over to you.
First question first. Comparing measurement of what happened last month or last week or in the last infinitesimal minute to the next will mislead you.
Yeah.
There are 2 ways to solve for that. You expand your lens to a longer time frame, or you have a long enough, that's it. You look either 3 month on 3 month or year over year.
Yeah.
What were we doing this time last year? Because it allows for elimination of seasonality in the business. You have to take the same amount of context for what was happening last year. Was I actually investing in this channel at that time? Right? So you have to take the context and apply it to the metrics. Metrics cannot live in a vacuum.
Love it.
You had a second question, remind me.
So how do you cope with, releasing something that they think is brilliant, but they got clashed with another fantastic event that's going on?
We have to remember that the way in which, customers or prospective people find us, we think as marketers that, we have this historical view of marketing as like demographics, right? If I'm in alignment with somebody that's in a particular postcode, a age range, gender range, maybe an interest range, and I market to those people, they're going to be my customers at X%, and my revenue is going to increase because I've marketed to those people. The truth of that is human beings and our existence is more complex than that, and we're impacted by the news, the weather, what our football team did last night or last week or last year, and our state of mind is fluid.
Yeah.
Right? And the rate at which we're going to react to something that you put out into the world is going to be fluid based on that. So we have to know that sometimes there are things out of our control that impact the outcomes.
I'm
We just
having
have
the
to be
media
okay with
right
that.
now.
Like
Because
Dan in a hat.
I'm saying people are, so what are we, data recording, 27th of June. What's happening in about 3 weeks' time? Schools break up.
6 weeks holiday.
What then happens to parents? They're probably going on a holiday somewhere.
Yeah.
Or some time off. Are they planning to do some big projects right now?
Not really.
Not really. So, we see it in
Yeah.
terms of that data. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. So,
drop off.
I'm having to say, anticipate a drop off. In December, it can go 2 ways. It can either pick up or it can go quiet, depending on whether it's professional services business and everyone's looking forward to Christmas.
Or I've got budget in America. I've got budget that I'm going to lose if I don't spend it. I need to cut you a check right now. That's always a fun one to get.
Yeah, that can happen in January,
Yeah.
going into April. But it's
Right.
like we need to do, So, yeah, you're absolutely right with that. The other one I had, you're saying about the data. Someone messaged me the other day, actually, and they were like, should we be worried about this? And it was a screenshot of their analytics it was like up here, and it was on 0.
Yeah.
For 2 points, is what I'll say. Should we be worried about this? So
what are we talking about? Minutes, days, hours?
Days.
Oh, good.
And the 2 days was the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that was Saturday and Sunday. I was like, we're not posting then because people are, we're doing professional. We're targeting during the week. No. Because I then took a picture of Monday and said, it's back up where it was. So
yeah.
You're right in terms of, but I think.
Take your time frame and do this.
But they might not have realised that was the time frame equally.
Oh, yeah,
because you just
exactly.
see a graph.
Yeah.
And it's like,
oh, my goodness
and
me,
it's
yeah.
like, so what
React.
can be massive in that scale
Yeah.
is actually quite minuscule over there. So it's just that we had no impressions over the weekend. I was like, I'm not fussed about
But you
that.
take your principal point there, Adam, about Dan in a hat. Obviously, yeah, 1 month, oof, next month, boo. But, as Andrew here said, if you increase that over the year, they'd have got a massive increase.
Yeah.
So if you'd have just gone, hey, last year was 7 hits, for want of a better word, now you've got 27 hits, they would go, oh my goodness me, that's fantastic.
Because you're consistently looking for the Dan in a hat
Absolutely.
moments. You're consistently looking for other moments which may not be as big. I mean,
That was pretty big. Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting coming back to my original, what started all of this. I never look in terms of what I should do, post, whether this is what this man does. I just get told, come down and have a podcast, Andy. Oh, okay then. And to me, obviously now I can see this, bless it, hello everybody, generates me tons of traffic. I love you all for it. I don't deliberately, actively market myself. This is what this gentleman does. So I suppose my next question leading on to that, Andy, is for you, taking your wonderful example where you've got that company where they're now living in a boat in the Gulf of Mexico. How do you then either take that company even further, or is there a point, I suppose what I'm getting at, is there a point that you yourself go, do you know what, I'm done. Enjoy the rest of your company life. I've done my bit. I'll walk away. Thank you. Or is it a constant process?
It can be both. So in the case of Stand for Success, they were acquired by a larger company. They've got an internal marketing team.
Of course.
That's fully capable of executing on sort of the brand transition. We worked with them for a further 6 months to make sure that the tie-in was as seamless as it could be. And then we said, fare you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a great success story for you.
Yeah. If you need us, we'll be here.
Yeah.
We find that I think the average lifespan in the type of work that we do is 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And then after that, with some of our smaller clients, we continue to work with them because we're basically, we are the marketing department and
Yes.
also some combined technology, and we manage quite a bit for them, and it's hard to extract yourself from that. It also means that our revenue is a little bit more predictable as a result, and I'll take that. But yes, there does come a point where the efficiency or the fundamental change that you were charged to put in place has been done. You've done that. You've integrated all the systems you meant to integrate. You've set up the process that allows them to carry that forward. And at some point, it might be more efficient for an internal team member to take that on. And we should be totally okay with that. We should expect and welcome and design for and help that to happen.
What about yourself, Adam? Same question.
Yeah, same deal. It's
Yeah.
like any client website that we end up doing, and they go, I want to go. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. How can I help you move that? What do you need from us? It's their thing at the end of the day, and it's their thing in terms of the marketing and this and the other. We want to be the trusted partner thing, is what we say.
Yeah.
Both Andy and I, and we want to be an extension of their teams. He's just got a call saying suspected spam as we're on here.
And it's not,
Yeah.
sadly.
We should have got you to answer it live on speaker and see
The
what
problem
it was.
is I often do that, and it's hilarious. Sorry, I know I apologise, I'm digressing. The best one that I get Michelle to laugh at is I answer the call, I'm like, hello. And then it's like somebody will answer, hey, we're in your area, solar panels, stuff like that. Oh, I don't have a house anymore. I live in a home.
See how long you can string
And
them.
see how long I can string them along to. And the one that I think 12, 15 minutes is probably about my best, because he was asking me about independent children. And I went, I don't have anybody coming to visit me. Will you visit me? I live locally, I think.
Slow day, Andy.
Yeah, honestly, but it was a great thing. 12 minutes before you finally saw Alex said, "You are winding me up." I went, "Oh God, yeah, mate, I'm winding you up so totally." He went, "Okay, fine." Click.
We just that's again, we just get tired and fed up of it.
Yeah.
Don't you? But coming back to the point, I think it's when we're working with people, it's their thing. If they want to move on, they can move on. If they're like we've had people that have hired internally, we've helped them get to that point. They're in a position where they can go, right, we can have workforce, like revenues uplifted, we can build workforce, and it's like, yep.
Yeah.
And they want to do that.
But I also see where Andy's coming from. He's obviously their integral marketing department to that company, and again, bless him, we've been working a long time, Adam. I hope the company can continue to go 40 years. And I will be employing you as my marketing department in 40 years' time, or 20 years' time, because I cannot see that I will never lose that friendship or that relationship, and you will grow with me. Statistically,
100%.
we'll grow with you. So you being your trusted partner for that marketing department, that must be a real pleaser for you. And as you say, you will happily take that revenue. You'll happily. So you must have seen some companies grow like I've done from small beginnings to, monstrous companies. Are you still involved with them, or is it always a point you will lose customers?
There's both. The answer
Again,
is
yeah.
both. So we've only been in existence in this. Science and Magic was started in 2020. It's a great time to start a company.
You fool.
Did anything happen that year?
I
Can't remember. Can't remember.
Just a small event.
Started in 2020. It meant that there were lots of companies that struggled with the changes of that year. It also meant that we were able to assist companies in very fundamental changes in their business, which has been very rewarding. And some of those relationships have, continued over time. We have a local services business in Indianapolis, where I'm from. They're expanding now into their second location. We're helping them figure out the systems to build into their second location. It's a healthcare provision. We've talked about Standard for Success. For them, it was an exit, right? That's where I see the most value creation is companies and private owners who are careening toward retirement, and they need to figure out the systems by which they can afford to step away in some small or large part. Talked about the guttering supplies company. Those owners are reaching retirement age, and we've allowed them to step back, created systems that both lowered workload and allowed them to expand without needing to dramatically increase their headcount. Those kinds of relationships are very rewarding.
Oh, God, yeah.
Help them live better lives and, exercised our skills to be able to do that.
Lovely. That's really good.
I could go on for
this is fantastic. I know we've got the end of the thing, but
I've
listened to both of you go there, and I've just found it fascinating.
Right. We will wrap up.
Yes.
The question that we always finish on is, what are you doing at the weekend? It's a very easy question.
I wish I knew.
Ask the wife.
That's a good place to be.
The last several weeks has been sort of whirlwind. I was in London this week at an event. Last week, I experienced the British but Dutch institution that is Center Parcs for the first time.
Oh, fabulous.
So we started on holiday. Last week, I was on holiday as well. But this weekend, I think it's somebody's birthday party, and the rest of it is I'm going to try and I need to build a grill. I have a grill that has been in my garage.
It's fine.
That it's one of the few words that sounds fancier in American English. Garage.
Yes, I have a garage. I have a patio.
For something not that fancy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I want to put that together. Like I said earlier, I want it to be a boring existence this weekend. And that's what I'm angling for. What about you two, gents?
Tonight, we are going to Ormsby, which is just down the road in Teesside, because there is a young lady who is 50 years old, and the two friends of ours are staying over with us. So Carol Ferguson, big shout out to her, who's the PA to Daniel James, the Yell star, who used to be instant replay guy. Yeah, so he's turning up. It's one of Yell's biggest fans, and he's doing a surprise at her birthday party.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's going to be tonight, and then they're staying over the Friday night. So we'll spend some time with them Saturday before they travel down to London, and then I think Daniel, my son's coming over at the weekend to help me fix some radio issues I've been having with my Wi-Fi. So we're going to investigate that. But other than that, a very quiet weekend as well.
I'm looking forward to cutting my grass.
A boring existence.
Yeah. I always try and do it on a Friday afternoon after work. What I find is if I just get in, I obviously pick the kids up from school, get in, and then I start doing that. And I just find it is a great way to kind of turn the week off.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, I'm on my weekend.
Agree.
Yeah. So I'll be doing that. My Bitcoin Rob's back from New Zealand, so we're potentially seeing him this evening, just locally. And then I'm going down to one of my good friends' 40th birthday party.
Very nice.
So other than that, nothing like that. That is the limit of what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Well, thank you so
Thanks,
much. I've
Andy.
really enjoyed that.
Really good.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
Absolutely. What's your website?
Yeah, before we go, how can people get hold of you? What's the best way to contact you?
Scienceandmagic.com or LinkedIn, Andrew Gowdy.
Right.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy.
Absolutely.
Really
we'll
good.
have to get you back on. 'Cause
Oh,
I've loved
definitely.
that. That's brilliant.
Happy to.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you very much.
Take care. See
Thanks,
you later,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.